Welcome to I'm Not Joking, the podcast where a behavioral scientist examines what it's like to live a humorous life. Glimpse into the lives of the funniest people in entertainment, business, and science as your host, Dr. Peter McGraw, explores their habits, motivations, and secrets to success. Get ready to fire up your brain and your funny bone. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to I'm Not Joking, the podcast that looks at the lives of funny people. I'm Peter McGraw. Today's guest is the fairy godmother of Melbourne comedy, JanetMcLeod.
Ding!
That's not an exaggeration. She brings people together. She helps kickstart careers. Every comedian I meet in Melbourne tells me to speak to her, and they always say, "Tell her I said hi." Janet does radio, television. She's a writer. She's produced shows for the Adelaide Fringe, Melbourne International Comedy Festival, Edinburgh Fringe Festival. She's judged Best Comedy Award at Melbourne Fringe and Adelaide Fringe, the Golden Gibo Award at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and Raw Comedy. She runs the longest running weekly stand-up comedy room in Melbourne called Local Laughs. It's Monday nights in St. Kilda. She's also an originator and co-host of Quiz International, Melbourne's most popular and longest running live comedy trivia night. I could go on and on. Welcome, Janet.
Oh, wow. I'm impressed. Although I am going, oh no, we haven't done Quiz International for a while now, but...
You're writing down we should do it?
But I still do host a lot of trivia nights.
Okay.
I just find them fun.
Yeah, so tell me about that. Well, no. First, tell me this.
Yes.
If you weren't hosting trivia nights, if you weren't writing, producing, judging comedy, doing radio, if all of that was off the table, what would you be doing?
Oh, well, my first proper job was in television, but behind the scenes, really behind the scenes. I would quite like to... I still like kicking around TV stations and radio stations, but I never get to do it and get paid big money for it. I end up at the ABC radio studios in the middle of the night on the overnights program, 2:30am to 3:30am every second or third Tuesday.
Okay.
Ask me if I get paid. Go on.
Do you get paid?
Nah. I just do it for... It's kind of like window shopping, where you go, oh, I'm not going to buy that, but I enjoy the process. It's like that with overnights radio.
Who is listening at 2:30 in the morning?
Interstate truck drivers and elderly insomniacs. That's my target market, Pete.
Oh, right.
I reckon I can hitchhike around Australia with all the truck drivers who listen in. I'd probably get molested.
Do you get recognized?
Every now and again I'll be in a taxi and the taxi driver will say, "Oh, I know your voice." And I'll go, "What? Really? Oh my God." So it surprises me even today that people are listening. Yeah. I just imagine I'm by myself with the broadcaster and just for some reason people ring in.
I feel that way about this podcast because I'm taping these, but I haven't launched it yet. So I have these imaginary listeners. They're coming.
Oh,
but they're not. They're not here yet.
I'm imagining them too, and they're all very attractive.
And smart.
And smart. So interesting. You are so interesting out there.
So, what were you doing deep behind the scenes in television?
Oh, look, I was just working in one of those crappy jobs, the film department. Things used to come in on 16mm film, like any of the TV series from the US, because like the A-Team or whatever else, because it was two different video systems. So I'd have to go through and physically check the film, and it was also dispatch, so I'd have to get everything in and out.
Okay.
So that was a very long time ago, though. That was in the 1980s.
Okay, yes.
And I did work out that was the last time I had what you would call a proper job.
Okay.
As in, you have to be five times a week. You have to be
9 to 5.
Yeah, that's right.
And you don't miss that.
I don't miss that particular one. No. I got RSI out of it, so I probably don't miss it that much.
What's RSI?
Repetitive strain injury.
Oh, really?
That's how retro I am. I got RSI, very 1980s.
Yeah. So is that like in the US we had carpal tunnel syndrome?
Yeah, it's that sort of thing. Yeah, it's that sort of thing.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, congratulations on getting out.
Yeah.
Trivia nights.
Yes. Yeah, I just fell into that. I was over at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival back in 96 and popped over to Glasgow and was staying with friends' brothers, and they said, "Oh, look, we're going out to this trivia night." And I just loved it, and I thought it was it was hilarious. The two guys who ran it were a scream, And it had a real kitsch aesthetic, the sort of stuff they wore, kitsch suits and gave away silly things.
Okay.
And I thought that was fun. And so when I got back to Melbourne, I decided I'd start one, and I wanted to have a partner to do it with, a performance partner. So I asked my friend Toby, who is Toby Sullivan.
Who's on the list.
Who's on your list.
Yes.
And as Toby describes it, he said, yeah, we tried to rip off an idea, but we did it badly, so we accidentally came up with an original premise. So that's what happened.
Which is what? What did you try to rip off? And
well, we went with the kitsch thing, but then at that time, airport lounge decor was huge, and there was this bar that we knew, and they had an airport lounge aesthetic. And so we decided that what we'd do is dress as an airline attendant and a pilot and take our passengers to a different destination each week, which provided a rough basis for the question. So, this week we're going to Moscow.
That's fun.
Red squares in Moscow. Which of the Mr. Men characters was a red square? So, so we had airline stuff happening. We ended up being incredibly multimedia for the time. So we've somehow got an overhead projector. We had a data projector back in the late 90s, so PowerPoint.
When they cost like 2,000.
Yes, it was like PowerPoint 1, I don't know. And then we do shadow puppet stuff with the overhead projector, and we had a DJ, and we just incorporated puppets and whatever. We incorporated all these different things, so it was this weird mashup that you couldn't write. And it's one of those things that can develop.
Did you write the trivia?
Yes. Yeah.
How do you write trivia? Do you work backwards from an answer?
Look, I do a couple of different ways. So
give me a crash course on writing trivia.
Okay, well, sometimes there's an interesting fact, and you think, I didn't know that, or that's a mistake I've often made. So if it's something that is like true or false, the only man-made object you can see from the moon is the Great Wall of China. Something like that.
Is that true?
No, it's false. Okay. Of course, you could barely make out the continents from the moon.
Right. Okay.
So it came about, I do know where it came from. It was like from a 1930s textbook, somebody saying, the Great Wall of China is so big, you could probably see it from the space slash the moon slash whatever. And it's not that wide, so
I've been on
it's
it.
ridiculous.
It's not that, it's narrow, but long.
So it's just one of those things that your grandpa's told you, and why would he tell you anything bad? Why would he fool you? It's just because he thought it was true, but it's just not. So anyhow, so there's that sort of thing.
Okay, so an interesting fact.
I also have categories like there's one which is... I love writing it, and everybody goes, oh, God, here she goes again. God or cheese. So you say, okay, here we go. I'm going to give you a word. It's either a god or a cheese.
Oh, I see. Right.
So you have to decide if chin is a god or a cheese.
I see. So, and there's thousands of gods and there's thousands of cheese.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
So there's that thing. So A, B, C, if you can get a gag in there, like, what's one of my typical ones? Yarra River. In the Woiwurrung language, does Yarra mean always flowing, A, always flowing, B, water with no beginning, C, brown water, or D, crown entertainment water?
Right.
And that's a joke that only Melburnians will understand.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, the Yarra River runs through
Melbourne, and there is the Crown Entertainment Complex, which is the casino.
Which is right sits on it.
On the Yarra.
Yes. Right.
And so it's sort of, always flowing is kind of a fair enough definition.
Play on words.
Definition of Yarra. There you go.
Oh, I see.
There's the true thing.
Right. All right.
Sorry to everybody in the US market who that made no sense to.
No, that's fine. It's how do you deal with mobile phones nowadays in trivia nights?
You just make a rule. I mean, I always recite the rules at the beginning. Rule number 1, don't cheat. You're not allowed to use your mobile phone or anything connected to the internet. If you're caught using it, then I hold it above, I don't know, a jug of beer, and we all vote whether I drop it or not. That's the sort of thing you say at the beginning. And so you have that rule. Rule number 2, phonetic spelling's allowable.
Okay.
Unless it's a spelling question.
Okay.
And then I'll just do something dumb like, let's hear it for phonetic spelling. Give me an F. F. Give me an O. O.
Right, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, Oh, thank God. That's why I say it.
It seems like you're doing 100 things.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
What are some of the things you're working on right now?
Yesterday
But yeah, describe yesterday.
Okay, yesterday there's a comedian, Michelle Laurie, who was on breakfast radio for a very long time until just this year, so she's getting a well-earned break.
Okay.
And so she's got a few different podcasts, and so she wanted me to book comedians for her one-on-one chat to comedians.
Can I hire you for that for the next 6 weeks?
You know what? That's what I do. That's the sort of thing, because I come up with people or ideas that other people may not necessarily think of.
Okay.
So I guess I just know who's interesting, and they might not be well known. Mm-hmm. And so that's it. I like to connect people and things in. I'm very ecosystem when it comes to comedy.
It's interesting you say this, because I was just, with the previous guest, I was sort of saying that I actually think that kind of the less famous people are often some of the more interesting ones.
Oh,
they're much less
absolutely.
guarded. They're more authentic. They're not kind of bored by this. For them, it's exciting and fun to talk about comedy and to be enthusiastic about it.
There's those students of comedy, and sometimes the most famous people aren't actually that into comedy as such. They're into them doing comedy. Mm-hmm. And that's a different thing. So it's, what's in it for me is that can be the way that people get forward, actually. So it's not a fault of them, that's just the way it works. Like a famous person is famous because they've got talent, they've worked really hard.
Yes.
Are they more talented than somebody who's lesser known? No.
No, they're just more advanced at this point.
Some of the people that I know that are some of the funniest and most talented people I know, they're not famous and they're never going to be famous. Mm. And some of the famous people I know are fine, but they're not the funniest that I know.
So what should I be looking for in a podcast guest?
People who have an individual view, I suppose. People who, they're thoughtful. Maybe that's it. They're
contemplative.
Yeah, they have their own unique take on it. So maybe they don't, it's like the path of least resistance is not the thing you're looking for. You're looking for people who might have put up some obstacles themselves. I'm
only getting this podcast rolling. One of the things I was worried about was that every interview would feel the same. Because, I have this thread of funny people. Yeah. And there are threads of things that kind of come up, I think part of the human condition and part of being involved in the world of comedy. But it has been far from that.
Yeah.
It's been really far from that. Okay, so you were saying you're scheduling and signing up people for this podcast?
Oh,
that
yes.
was yesterday. What else?
So yesterday was some of the people going in and interviewing.
Okay.
And I just love hearing people talk about comedy too. What did I do the night before? Let's see, I've also been working on just lots of just pounding out admin for a couple of shows I'm producing during the Melbourne International Comedy Festival.
Okay.
So,
which is one of the best comedy festivals in the world, I think.
It is.
Yes.
It's one of the largest. I mean, arguably, supposedly it's the third largest, but I can't think that Montreal's bigger.
No, I think Just for Laughs is bigger.
Does it have more events?
Yeah, I guess everybody has their view of bigger number of people, number of comics, number. I bet you could come up with 3 different metrics and 3 different.
So let's say
biggest.
It is definitely in the top 3.
Okay,
it's absolutely 100% in the top 3.
It's
no
incredibly
problems.
well run. I've been to it a couple of times now. It's super well run, and it was interesting about it. It's very Australian focused, and I think that there's sort of this. What I've heard and what I'm hearing in these conversations are like people are working to develop something for this show, for this comedy festival, and that it's and they do their show for 30 nights or whatever it might be, and it's really good. It's really tight.
People can get into a cycle with festivals because it is quite addictive. Festivals are an addictive thing, and
they pay well.
No. God, Pete, not at all. It is. You can lose money.
Really? You can do 30. You can do 30 shows.
20 something. In this festival. Then you can easily do that and lose money. People who are coming in from overseas. You don't have to lose money.
Okay.
I keep a tight rein on budgets myself when I'm producing somebody else. In fact, I'm quite miserly. But it's not... You can make money.
Okay.
but generally you've got to have the right size room, not much, okay, I suppose the perfect storm would be, oh wow, my room rental is really reasonable. That doesn't happen.
Okay.
Wow, people are buying tickets really easily and I haven't had to spend that much money on marketing and promotion or advertising. That doesn't happen.
Okay.
Unless you're quite famous.
Yes.
But even then, you've still got to do your marketing. Look, it's all those factors. So if you've got the sort of size room where lots of people come, you're not paying too much on your costs. Where is this sweet spot?
Where does it start to cross over? 100 people?
It just depends on your costs, really.
I see. What are your ticket prices?
So then that's it, and your ticket price.
You do your break-even analysis.
That's it. You've just got to look at how much you're charging, how much you can charge because of what your status is, or what your position or marketability is.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you've got a great show idea, and it's already got an audience who's just going, "Oh my god, I love." Name this TV show. This show is connected to that somehow. It's a parody, or somebody from that show is in it, or I love this concept. It's a Harry Potter type improvised thing, or something like that, so that you've got an audience.
Okay. All right, so you're producing some of these shows.
So I've got a couple of shows that I'm producing.
What does that? So tell me, what does that mean to produce a show? So obviously you're doing the budgeting.
Yeah, and doing the boring stuff like admin.
And you're doing marketing and promotion.
Yeah, knocking out the copy for it, like all the blurbs.
Design? Do you do
I
design
am doing a bit of design for one of the shows. So there's a show. So the two shows. Well, actually, there's 3 shows that I'm producing just by myself. So. Local Laughs, my weekly comedy room, is listed in the program. So there's also Shoko, who's a Japanese ventriloquist stand-up, and rakugo artist. That's a traditional form of Japanese storytelling comedy. And there's also another show called Aboriginal. As you can probably tell, it's 2 Aboriginal comedians, and it's Aboriginal. So this is the 3rd year that I've produced Aboriginal.
Okay.
Although I never have my name as the producer because I always go, it seems a bit weird. And now here's a white lady producing this. I just go, no.
That's interesting.
Call it something else. Oh, well, it just looks weird, I reckon.
Yeah, I see.
And so...
So that must do well, 3rd time
through. So the first year there was Dane Simpson, who's from Wagga Wagga, and... Wagga Wagga is in country New South Wales. Okay. So just called Wagga.
Okay.
So Wagga. It's a great name.
Yeah.
Wagga. He's spelled W-A-G-G-A. So it's one of those great double-barreled Aboriginal place names. Anything that's double-barreled means more of that thing.
Okay.
So Wagga supposedly meant crow in the local language, but it's more Wagam. And so Wagga, apparently, according to Dane, is sort of more like staggering, like an old man or a drunk staggering, which, as he says, if you beat a Wagga on a Friday night, it suits it.
I see.
So first year, Josh Warrior from Adelaide and Karen Edwards from Charleville, which is in country Queensland.
Okay.
So they were the first Aboriginal package. And then last year, Dane and Matt Ford from Brisbane.
Okay.
They were the package, and this year it's those 2 again.
Okay.
So they had so much fun. They decided they wanted to do it all again.
And they're doing comedy about Australia's history?
The 2 of them are doing general stand-up. Dane's a real storyteller, because that's, again, part of real Aboriginal culture. It's all oral storytelling tradition. And so... that's always a real strength within, or a different through line within Aboriginal comedy. There's lots of stories, voices, and act-outs and things like that.
Okay.
And so Dane's a real yarn spinner, as they say, spinning a yarn. Yeah, spinning a yarn. And so he's got, to make it easier for him, his dad is hilarious. His dad is so funny. He's such a character. And so Dane's dad, the stories of his dad, populate his stand-up.
Okay.
So Matt's more of a, he's a young guy. He's doing the circuit up in Brisbane, and so he's sort of a bit more modern stand-up, I
Okay.
suppose, just stand-up style. So he doesn't necessarily have as much content, Aboriginal content, I suppose.
Okay.
Whatever Aboriginal content would be.
Yeah. All right, so you're getting this all ready.
Yeah, so that's a lot of admin
Okay.
and bits of design, as I said.
What
What
else?
else? So I've got...
You had trivia night the other night.
Yep, had a trivia night the other night.
You're not dressed as a pilot or flight attendant.
Not on
anymore.
this, no. But I do... What I do at my trivia nights is on the Sunday night one, I dance like an idiot. Like, I'll ask a question, put on some trashy song.
Okay.
And usually it's to do with the question.
Okay.
Where I've asked a question about, I don't know, horses. And then I'll play... There's an Australian singer, Daryl Braithwaite, who had a song called Horses, which is a great big anthem.
Okay.
Kind of slightly unfashionable, as we say, daggy anthem.
Okay.
And so I'll always play it. I'll ask a horse question, I'll always play that. And just
Okay.
say to the audience, oh, sorry, guys, I have to play this. It's the rules. Admittedly, I made the rule.
Yes, right.
But I'll always just do that. Or something about Africa, I'll play Toto's Africa. Or I think the one I was proudest of was when... This sounds weird, I'm about to say... When Davy Jones, the lead singer of the Monkees, died. Oh, that sounds bad. Because anything in the news is a trivia question.
Yes, right.
So it was like, sadly, singer Davy Jones has died. He was the lead singer of which 1960s band?
Right.
And then I played the Pixies' Monkeys Gone to Heaven.
Ah, that's fun.
Which is, I think you'll find quite an excellent pun. Although,
yes, indeed.
you know...
And people don't get it?
And
Do
it's-
people get it?
Oh, no, I'll just wait and see if anybody does.
Oh, I see.
and
That's
if they
great.
don't, it's just for me.
Yes, yes. And yeah, you can't point out.
Oh, sometimes I
just
will. Afterwards, sometimes I'll play something that's actually the answer.
Okay.
So...
All right, and then what else?
I've been doing this week. There's a show that I have with my friend Jeff called Cinema Fiasco.
Okay.
So it's like a movie. It's a movie show where we provide a running commentary. So this is basically... I know there's a few movie commentary shows out there.
Yeah,
now.
and what in the United States there was one that was really big.
Mystery Science Theatre.
Yes,
and
that's right.
funnily enough, Jeff has never seen it. I only saw it a couple of years ago. Basically, our show is based on what Jeff and I have been doing for 3 decades.
Okay.
Where we just watch terrible movies together and then talk about them while they're on.
Okay.
And just rewind or...
And this is
whatever.
a live show?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah.
So we have it in cinemas.
You do it. Oh, so you do it. What have you watched recently?
Let's see. The last one we did was New Year's Evil, a seasonal splatter movie.
Okay.
Before that, it was a 1970s exploitation movie called Invasion of the Bee Girls.
Okay.
So some girls somehow, I don't know, there was some bee thing, and they would have sex with men until they died.
Okay.
So that sort of exploitation stuff. Next one we're doing is Can't Stop the Music, the Village People musical.
Seriously?
Yeah, that one's a ripper. That one is fantastic.
Yeah, I can. Fantastically bad.
Oh yeah, it's the music's great fun. It's the Village People.
Yeah, of course,
That's
right.
terrific. But you know, there's things like the script and the acting and the plot and
The
pretty well
costumes.
everything else is. But what we love these movies.
Okay.
This is
So
the thing.
it's affectionate
It
teasing.
is totally affectionate. We love watching these movies. We cheerlead these movies. It's like when you've got... I would describe it as... You've got a dog that's ugly.
Uh-huh.
You know your dog's ugly, but you love it.
Yes.
And it's okay that it's ugly. It's
a dog.
fine. It's a dog. It doesn't care.
Yes, right.
It doesn't care. The movie doesn't care.
It's so hard to make a good movie.
Yeah.
It's nice to see these less than good movies
Well, it's also...
get some
love.
create some joy.
Well, they are quite fun because there's the magic, I don't know, 5% of movies or even less that are great movies. And then there's the magic that are so terrible, they're so entertaining.
Yes.
And in between there's just a lot of dross. There's a lot of, that was all right.
Yeah, so if you chose a movie from the middle, this is harder to do.
Yeah, that's right. Although, I don't know, I think Jeff and I could probably do Citizen Kane and we'd be able to make something of it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I guess that's true, especially because they don't always hold up well.
Oh, even ones that are modern and they've just made some bad choices when it comes to CGI.
Yeah, or even I rewatched National Lampoon Animal House.
Oh yeah,
it does not hold up very well. It's like.
Yeah.
Especially in the world of Me Too.
Yeah, the politics of it is just...
And it's like, very like, it's like the sex dynamics in there and all. It really does not hold up well.
Oh, well, yeah. A lot of the... I say some of the movies. A lot of the movies that we do, there's...
Yeah, these sort of teen movies. Ugh, they're
dodgy
really
as all get out.
Yeah, that's true.
But again, as we cheerlead all of that as well. There's things where, as we say... In cheap movie making, there's certain things that are part of it. Mm-hmm. And as I think Jeff was the first one to point out, he said, well, boobs, they're important because they're cheaper than explosions, but they have the same emotional impact. It's like on screen, you go, oh, boobs. And as he points out, he said, neither Janet nor I have got any particular interest in boobs. Jeff's going.
But yet they still have
they still have that effect.
That's really funny.
I think it's Jeff's quote was last one we did. He said, "Oh, the last time I saw something boobs like that up that close was I didn't have teeth. I was a baby."
So you do a lot of different things.
Lots of different things, and I've got that ability to go between being a performer myself and being
a connector,
being the producer. So whenever I'm running an event, there's always going to be some level of me being a performer. It'd probably just be doing the voiceovers, like, ladies and gentlemen, we've got 5 minutes to go, whatever. Or please make welcome your host, it's Cal Wilson, woo! You need that. Uh-huh. And so I'm that person running that. And so it's kind of driving the event in all ways.
And so what are you best at, though? What's that? Like, if you had to shuck all these things, you had to do the one thing, what would it be?
Oh, what a nightmare.
Have to choose.
If I had to choose, oh God, this is like Sophie's Choice. Oh God. Would I be a performer or a producer if I had to? That is really, really tough because I do like showing off, despite the fact I was a very shy child. But I get great satisfaction from an event functioning correctly.
Okay.
And that is the producer side of it. I don't think I can make that choice. I don't think that choice exists anyhow. I think
it's too intertwined for you.
It's a false dichotomy. Yes, it is. It's too intertwined.
That answers the question, though.
Yeah,
You refuse to answer.
I refuse to answer that on the grounds that it's impossible for that situation to ever occur where somebody's got a gun to my head going, you either be a producer or a performer. Although, I think that is probably has held me back in the past in other people's eyes because they go, I don't know, what is she?
Oh, yeah. You don't fit into a box very easily.
Well, I don't fit into a box easily. And it's my skill set in Australia, certainly in the past, has not been seen as in a respected fashion, I suppose. But funnily enough, in the UK, it is.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think there's something about just the way things operate in the UK where it's not as uncommon to have producer performers.
Okay.
And
like who comes to mind?
Or even producers who are characters. Like maybe, I think I was Ed Morrish, who's a BBC producer, his podcasts and the things he does, he's become like a character within them.
Okay.
It's like Richard Osman, who's on this game show called Pointless. Okay. And so he's ostensibly a producer, but he's also got an on-screen role within that. Okay. So that's the sort of position where I suppose I saw in that sort of a position where I've got a job to do, but there's also being entertaining along with it.
Yeah, your trivia is like that.
Oh yeah,
right. That's you're producing this thing, you're writing it, and then you're performing it.
And I'm adding something bonus on top of it by just performing the heck out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like doing it in a different way, or just doing it in a show-offy way.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll be going, what am I doing as I'm dancing on the bar, or just, it's so outrageous.
And you're doing that solo now?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I've been doing it solo for 20 years, maybe.
Yeah. When you were doing it with a partner, there's this sort of crazy straight idea in improv and so on. There's kind of 3 boxes: straight, crazy, crazy. Straight doesn't work for comedy very well.
No.
But the other 2 do.
I think we just were a combination of crazy straight, because we had a job to do. We present the trivia, but
did one of you play the
No, nobody was the straight person.
Yeah. So you're crazy, no?
Yeah, I suppose so. Because the form of the entertainment means that you can't just be crazy, otherwise you don't get the job done.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You do need, when it's trivia, you do need a rule keeper.
That's it. So possibly in that, maybe I have slightly more of that.
Uh-huh.
But having said that, I'm just thinking about myself in varying situations and
you
going, I needed reining in.
You don't seem like a rule follower.
Funnily enough, I am, but I will allow myself off the leash and then I have to rein myself back in.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Just I don't know, Protestant work ethic. Maybe that's it. Well, I think of things from an audience perspective as well, and that can be the downfall of many a performer, where they're having a great time and the audience is also having a great time, but they've got buses to catch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so tell me about this. I think this is a big issue in actually not just entertainment, but I think in the creation of cultural goods in general. Is this idea of, well, who's your audience? What do they want? What do they need? And how can you put yourself into a position where you can understand that in order to make something that they're going to enjoy?
I suppose there's the temptation for people to say, yeah, but you shouldn't do that, otherwise you're audience pleasing. You're trying to be audience pleasing. But no, that's
but they're buying
different.
the tickets, though, aren't
they? They are buying the tickets. But there are those considerations. You're not being an audience pleaser. You're facilitating and functioning the way that they consume art, I suppose.
So who says that? Who says you're being an audience pleaser and pushes back on?
Oh, well, look, people who are...
you don't have to name names, but what type of performer does that?
Generally ones who aren't getting anywhere. I think the ones who are trying to find... You know what it is? It's the ones trying to be edgy. They're trying to be edgy. They position themselves as being edgy.
Uh-huh.
But usually those ones are just people who are... I don't know. They tend towards shock tactics or whatever else to get a reaction. I'm just flippantly just putting that out there, but I think that the ones that I've noticed tend to be the freedom of speech people, and you go, oh, here we go again, right? Okay, because a lot of the time, then maintaining the status quo is what they're actually doing.
Okay, and
I don't think that's edgy. And I go, oh, no, everybody's always been speaking about this for the last 50 years in comedy. So it's not edgy, it's actually hack.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting when they're trying to go, no, freedom of speech, got to be able to talk about this. Well, you've had 50 years, you didn't do anything with that then, so...
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting puzzle about this idea of... Yes, this idea of pleasing the audience, pandering to the audience, this sort of pushback, like this sort of artistic thing, which is you want to evoke. Yet, this is commerce, right? So you got bills to pay, and you want people to sit in the audience and pay, and so on. And so, how do you take the feedback?
Well,
right? And so you're saying you are audience focused.
I'm audience focused. Well, I have the ability to occupy multiple positions.
Okay.
And that's probably my strength in that I am looking at things from audience perspective, if I'm producing something, I'm looking at it from the audience perspective, from the performer's perspective,
Okay.
as well as other, what I suppose you'd call stakeholders. So, reviewers or people,
Right. Journalists. And
journalists,
so on. Yes, right.
people who might be giving you promotion, for venue, etc., etc., etc.
Okay.
So and I think it's important to occupy all of those positions. If you're trying to occupy just one and saying, oh, well, this show needs to do this, then you're not understanding how the arts work or how business works, because you've got lots and lots of different things happening simultaneously. And it's just that balance. It's just finding balance and making the decision. If you do want to have complete artistic freedom and be edgy and whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can absolutely do that, and you might be able to do that really successfully if you're good at all the other stuff. But if you're trying to drag, if somebody's got a comedy night that exists, you want to go on it, but they think your stuff is going to offend the audience, or just do something that the audience is going to dislike.
Yes.
Then that's up to the person who's running that particular room. They're not stopping you from doing what you want to do. They're stopping you from doing what you want to do at their room.
Yeah, that's right. There are gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And they exist for better or for worse, for a reason. They
some
have
people,
a stage.
yeah.
They have the switch to the lights and to the mic.
Sometimes I think whenever people have said, oh, how do I go about getting more work? And I go, create it. Create your own work. That's what I've always done. I've always created. Nobody gave me Quiz International. Nobody gave me Cinema Fiasco. Nobody gave me... I just go and make things.
Yeah, I know. I see that in stand-up a lot. Right, so you're kind of you're a newish comic. You have enough chops that you can perform, and you need places to perform, and you create a show.
Yeah.
Right, you just make a show. You host it. You work on your stuff. It brings you into the world. Right, you get to know comics. There's a quid pro quo. You're on my show. I'll be on your show. Right, so it's sort of it seems doubly beneficial if you're competent enough to do the admin.
That's the sticking point, because people... It's a funny when
a lot of artists aren't so good at the admin.
When artists say, "Oh yeah, I want somebody to produce," because I don't really like admin, and I go, I don't either. I just do it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. In fact, sometimes I go, oh, geez, I'm really shabby at this. Well, I mean, look how long it took me to get my bio to you. Admittedly, I only found your email and went,
Yeah.
But
I was confident it was going to come in.
Yeah, that's it. It didn't come in. There's just this snowstorm of communication happening at the moment.
How many emails do you get a day?
Oh, look, it'll change, but sometimes I'll go, oh, how come there's 20 emails? I haven't got all contacts. People are texting. There's just too many points of contact.
You have email. I'm a little old school. I do email a little too much.
Email, Facebook,
and Twitter. You're on Twitter.
Fine. I don't tweet that much, just so I don't have that additional point of contact.
Okay, right. Yeah, so it's a lot. So how many messages are you getting a day, do you think?
Look, I would have about 20, I think.
No, you have to have more than that.
No.
I sent you 3 today.
Oh, actually, you're right. I see.
So across email, across text, across Facebook.
20 different people with different contacts. Maybe it's not that much. But often it is back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Right. So,
do you shut down to create? Like when you have trivia coming, do you shut the phone off? How do you focus?
I think
Are you good at focusing?
No. I was going to say yes, but then I went nah. No.
I asked that thinking the answer was no, actually.
Yeah, I went nah. No, because sometimes you just have to chip away at a lot of different things, and supposedly you have to concentrate on one thing and then you get stacks done. And I go nah. No, I've got too many things to concentrate on. So you go, tick, 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 tick. But there's always room for more.
Yes. So when you're doing the trivia, do you like sit down and do this, or are you like on the tram writing down?
All of the things.
Yeah.
All of it. So whenever I see something interesting, I go, I'll just make a note of that.
Is that pad of paper right there?
Yeah, that's a bit of paper that's just got a lot of different things on it.
What's on there? What's some of the things?
Some things for the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Here's some venue ideas and a music festival idea for a performer who I'm hoping I'll be able to produce at Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Okay.
In fact, 2 music festivals for them, and then just some.
And that's like you made that. You like stapled some pieces of paper.
Oh yeah, it's just because I'm quite. I like to attend every now and again to recycling.
Okay.
So it's just some scrap paper I just stapled together.
Yeah, nice. That's great.
I love save the world, everybody.
I love one of my favorite things with this podcast is getting someone to pull out their notebook or their phone to talk to me about the bits they're working on.
And it's not. It doesn't seem to have a...
Do you have any trivia in there?
Do I have any trivia on this one? I don't think I do. Sorry. I could find trivia just by looking around.
What's your best trivia question you think you've ever written?
Oh, the best one.
Yeah, like one you're most proud of.
The one I'm most proud of? I don't know, to be honest. What I'm proud of? Oh, no, you've... I don't know. 10 countries of the world with 4-letter names. What are they?
Chad.
Yes. Ooh. It's got. By the way, a country is something that's got to be recognised by the United Nations in a trivia sense. So Chad's good. Well done.
Okay.
I always go through the alphabet.
Yeah, I see what you...
I like the way you use yours. Chad.
I think I just came up with Chad right away.
Because it's a funny sounding country
it's such
name.
an interesting one.
And you go, Central Africa, good work. There's a couple more African ones.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I've been to Africa too.
The way you go, whenever you're looking at trying to find the answer, and it's something like that.
Do you do it visually? You go through the globe?
No, I tend to, when it's something like that, I'll just go through the alphabet and go, I don't think there's anything not B, no. Sometimes people go, Bali, and you go, no, that's an island in Indonesia.
Oh, yeah, right.
Chad. Then there's Cuba. That's also a C.
I've been... Oh, okay.
And you've been there?
I've been there. Yeah.
Hey.
I should have known that one.
D, nothing. E, nothing. E, F, Fiji.
Fiji, okay.
H, nothing. I, Iran, Iraq.
Oh, yes, right.
J, nothing. K, nothing. L, Laos.
Yes.
M, Mali.
Mali, I don't even
Mali's
know.
in Africa.
Okay.
L, M, N, O. I've lost count now. O, Oman.
I'm going to Oman in May.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, just for a couple of days.
Man, Oman. And
I hear it's great.
P, Peru. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Peru, yes. I should know these. I've been to these places.
S, T, Togo.
Togo, okay. I wouldn't have come up with that.
And so you just get, that's it. You go through the alphabet.
I guess I should have just went through the countries I've gone to. I would have gotten 3.
Yeah.
I guess. That's a fun one.
It is fun. That's the sort of
thing. And that's
thing.
a race against time, right? Because you have groups working on those 10.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a good race against time. It takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
What song do you play?
What would I play for that?
You can play We Are the World.
Oh, I could play We Are the World. Or, you know what? I would play Around the World by Daft Punk.
Oh, yes. That's a good one. Right.
That's what I would play.
Yeah, that's more danceable than We Are the World.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you what you're reading, watching, or listening to that really stands out. Like, it's not just good, but that you're like, wow.
Reading, watching, and listening.
Or listening to.
What have I been reading lately? Nothing comedy.
Okay.
I've been reading varying... I've got a few books on the go next to my bed.
What's the best? What's the trend you're on?
There's things like Aboriginal Victorians.
Okay.
It's got a lot of just great information about... Because I like pre-colonial history. And
who doesn't?
I love pre-colonial history. And so I like history things. And in Australia, then, of course, we've got, as we say, a dark history, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm quite interested in Aboriginal culture and history and things like that.
Okay, so you're reading that book.
So I've got that. I've got an adventure stories for girls. Real cheesy 40s, 50s sort of adventure stories for girls. Are really naff. I love that sort of thing.
Really?
I really like that.
That's fun.
That is fun. The last thing in my DVD player was, let me see. I have a horrible feeling it was Houseboat Horror.
But you must be watching lots of movies.
Yeah, I think my friend Jeff watches far more. He's got this huge collection.
Okay.
And so I watch mostly when I'm around at his place.
Okay.
Just the really trashy movies, because he'll go, I've got this new Italian zombie movie. And you go, wow, sure.
Yeah.
Because, there's all the things that we love, like...
And you're allowed to talk during movies with him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. I can't sometimes help myself.
Oh,
I just want to talk.
You gotta. And you want to talk about the movie. I don't like the people who talk about other things.
I agree with you.
When the movie's on, it's like, no, just shut up. Shut up. It's like Eurovision, which the American audience may not know.
Yeah, but that's like...
the European Song Contest.
Yeah, we have some of these things. I forget what they're called.
No, they're not anything like Eurovision.
No, it's not as big, but it is the same format.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Nah.
American
Nothing's
Idol,
like it.
American Idol. And
Nothing
like
is like Eurovision.
Why? What makes
you
that
might
special?
say that, it's like we've got Idol and stuff. It's like, no, this is countries performing. These are countries.
I see.
Having a
It's
pop
very
singer.
nationalistic.
So there's that, as well as it being it is the most extraordinary television event that you will see.
Is that right?
So the only thing that comes close to it is the Olympics, where for telecommunications advancements and things like that. So it is the greatest spectacle on television earth.
That's fascinating.
And when you watch it, because a lot of people try and diminish it as being just cheesy and, it's so, unfashionable, it's hilarious. Well, it can be, but certainly in the last several years.
It's probably moving too, right?
Oh, look, sometimes the songs are actually good.
That's good.
Other times you go, this is just half-cocked, this is fantastic. But again, it's like watching the movies that you can't just rag on it, because that's just dull. That's dull. You've got to love things. In fact,
things are nuanced, I think, oftentimes.
Look, I tell you, the thing I was quite surprised about was when Australia started competing.
Okay.
Which many people were surprised because we're not in Europe, but it's, or indeed part of the European Broadcast Union. But we love it.
Yeah.
We just love it. And I hadn't felt any sense of national pride in anything until I was watching and went, God, Sebastian did really well there. That was fantastic. And when Dami Im came second, we almost won. We almost won the second time we ever competed. It's just like, and even Isaiah Firebrace, when he did quite well for a young 17-year-old lad from the country. It was really great.
Yeah, I think those things are, there's a reason these shows there's so many of them, they're really compelling. Oh,
look, well, this is way more than just a song contest too. There's a travel log part of it. You find out more about the country or the cities that are hosting. There's also all the different characters within all the, like each country will have, or most of them will have things like, Melody Festival, and to decide who is going to be their competitor. And
I see.
And then you discover things like the hosts of when it's being broadcast. Like a couple of years ago, it was in Sweden. Now, I don't know how you find Scandinavian comedy, but I love it. I think the Scandinavians are very funny, and Swedes are hilarious.
I haven't... I don't know. I don't have an opinion.
Petra Merd, she's a triple threat. She's a comedian, singer, dancer, actor, quadruple threat. Uh-huh. So she was one of the hosts, and she is incredibly funny. She's great.
Oh, that's great.
So there you go.
You want a funny host?
You want a funny host? Oh, I'll have to tell you about other Scandinavian comedians then. I know a couple.
I look forward to going... Stockholm in the summer is one of the best places, I think, in the world.
I'll go. Oh well, I tell you what. If you get a chance in Norway, there's a guy called Espen Eckbo who is a great character comedian.
Oh wow!
Sometimes I watch clips of him, but I don't know Norwegian.
Just to see.
He's just funny. He's just a funny.
That's incredible.
You know when sometimes the rhythms are funny, and they do great underplay. Really, great underplay. So it's quite low key comedy, but you can tell.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I like
it's funny even though you don't know what he's saying.
Yeah, you know that there's a level of skill. It's like you spoke to Ivan Aristeguieta,
yes,
our favourite Venezuelan comedian.
Yes.
And not last year, the year before, there was a Spanish comedy night here in Melbourne. Okay. And so Ivan was hosting Sharon Aturi, who is Spanish, Sharon, great Spanish name, Juan Miles, who's Argentinian, and Simon Palomares, who, again, Spanish, but has been in Australia a long time. Okay. So it was a Spanish language comedy night. I was the only one in there who didn't know Spanish.
Okay.
But I could tell what was going on. And every now and again it would be hilarious. And they'd be going, Spanish. Oh, yeah, Woolworths supermarket. Spanish.
Right.
Something else in English. And it was quite funny. And other times you could tell by the rhythms or catching a couple of words what the subject matter was. In fact, so I was able to do it so